Hello, everybody. I'm Josh here with the first episode of Teacher Time. I'm here with my co-host Curran Bradley
What's up?
and teacher and athletic trainer Miss Hall.
Hey guys.
Now, to start off, Miss Hall, you have always told us snippets of your life, but never the full story. We would like to know what makes Miss Hall Miss Hall.
I think the best way to describe me is just I'm a servant. Everything that I've ever gotten involved in and gotten passionate about has been about serving others. So I got into athletic training after being injured in high school. That is pretty much a service. There's really not any glory to that. You're there first, you're there last. You're doing all the grunt work behind the scenes. You don't get the medals and the accolades. I'm also a mother to three crazy, rambunctious kids. I'm sure you've heard lots of stories. I'm a wife, and I'm the youngest of four children. So I was always the last one picked and the last one served. So I'm kind of used to being the workhorse behind the scenes, and I'm totally fine with that.
That makes sense. Now, what was your journey like to become an athletic trainer?
Well, I am a lifelong soccer player. I tore my meniscus and got hurt when I was about a junior in high school, and got to see the inner workings of physical therapists and athletic trainers at my high school and at the clinic I visited, and just I loved that. This is going to sound crazy, but I loved that they got to wear tennis shoes every day. I grew up with two teacher parents, and I always thought it was crazy that my mom wore these super uncomfortable high heels every day, and I was like, I don't want to have to do that. I was a tomboy. I didn't want to have to wear dresses and stuff, and now I wear dresses all the time, but with tennis shoes. So I wanted to wear tennis shoes, and I get to do that now every single day.
So you said your parents are both teachers, right?
Yes.
So did they have any influence on you becoming a teacher?
Absolutely. Take Your Daughter to Work Day used to be huge back in the 80s and 90s, and I would love getting to go with my mom, and she would let me be line leader, and she'd let me call roll, and she'd let me grade papers and put stickers and stamps. And she was a middle school teacher when stickers and stamps were still a thing. So I just loved the idea of no day is the same. You always get to interact with different people every day. Some kids will be on their game one day, and some kids will be a challenge some days. So she loved her job. My dad was a teacher too, but he moved into technology pretty quickly in his career. So he was the technology director for his school once I got to be pretty like middle schoolish age. So I didn't get to see his classroom quite as often. But they always had funny stories. They always had enough downtime during the day to talk to their friends at school. So it just seemed like a good fit.
That makes sense. Do you plan on continuing to teach and be an athletic trainer when your kids are in high school?
I think that would be really awesome. I'm actually married to a coach, and his dream has always been to coach his kids. And I think it would be kind of cool to get him over here at Pelham if that could ever happen and work out, and the positions open up the right way for that to happen, and him be on the sidelines, me the athletic trainer, and the kids on the field. I think that would be kind of the whole kind of perfect family bonding moment for us.
Have you ever thought of being something else other than a teacher?
Yes. So I actually started out with a plan to be pre-med, and I didn't get scared off by the classes. Luckily, I was pretty good at school, but I did get scared off about the time that it was going to take to get through school. I knew early on in my life that I wanted to be a mother, and I wanted to have lots of children, as many as I could manage. And it just scared me that I would be in school for 8 years, and then I was in school for 7 years with the path I chose. So I went from med school to physical therapy, and then after doing some time in physical therapy, observation hours, I realized it was a whole lot of geriatric patients, and I knew I wanted to be with people that really wanted to be better and that were competitive like me. And so I kind of jumped down to athletic training. And I had no intentions of being a teacher right off the bat, but I did a work-study position with the football team at my school and ran their study hall, and that's where I discovered, hey, I kind of like this, and I think I could be really good at this. So my graduate assistantship was through athletic training, but to get my master's in education.
So earlier, you said you had a injury that led you away from sports into athletic training.
Mm-hmm.
Do you think you would be still an athlete, or let me rephrase that, not an athletic trainer if you never got that injury?
Yeah, but I don't think I would. I had no entry point other than being exposed to it myself as a patient. So I don't know that I would have discovered it otherwise. I was an athlete, and so I had athletic trainers at games and stuff, but I had never utilized their skills because I'd never been hurt. So my whole family was athletic, but that just wasn't something that I even knew existed until I needed them. So it's kind of cool how that worked out.
So last year, I had a really bad grade in your class. But what was your worst grade in school?
I was in band, of all things. I was in band and I played the flute because my mom was really musical growing up and she wanted us to be musical and she couldn't convince any of the older kids to do it, but she talked me into it. So I was in band and I absolutely hated it. And so I would purposely bend the keys on my flute so that it would sound terrible when I played it, so that the teacher would just be like, just shut it down over there. You just hang out for today until your flute gets fixed, and it would just magically never get fixed. And so I ended up with a C in band. But that was probably my worst grade, was that C. I didn't do much worse than that.
Better grade than I had in your class last year.
Luckily, yes.
It wasn't for me. So, since you did play sports, like, what sports did you play before, like, your injury, and, like, what are still, like, your favorite sports to, like, watch?
Well, I am the only one of the four that didn't play anything else. I played soccer from the time I was 4 years old until I was 22, and then beyond as an adult. I did do dance for a little while, and with a daddy like mine, I wasn't allowed to have Barbies growing up. We were very conscious about the experience that his young ladies had, and I did dance until we got our first crop-topped uniform. And after that, Dad said, you are not going to be a dancer and you are going to be an athlete. So I played soccer for the rest of my life, even as an adult. I actually just got hurt this summer and had surgery for a torn ACL after playing in women's league. So I'm still at it.
The ACL injury, what was your recovery like? Was it a fast recovery or did it happen really slow?
ACL in general is a pretty long recovery. It's one of those that just, it takes time. So no one really returns outside of like the NFL, who has all the money and all the doctors to do all the things. No one really returns more like faster than 6 months. So I am actually right at that 6 month point. I'm running, I'm jumping, I'm just not cutting yet because of the forces that places on the graft that they used. Compared to some of the athletes that I've seen come through rehab with ACL tears, I feel like I did a pretty good job. I think I owe some of that to my competitive nature. If you tell me, hey, I want you at 90 degrees by this day, I'm going to get there 2 days early. But I think it's also the fact that I had the background in athletic training. I knew how important it was to do my rehab at home. I knew how important it was to get my range of motion back first. And I think some of the kids that come through, even though they're younger than me and quicker than me and probably in better shape than me, they just don't know the importance of those kind of foundational steps. So I'm in really good shape. I think a lot of people that see me squat or get down and play with the kids are surprised that I'm moving this well so quickly.
Everybody wants to know, what has been the worst injury you've seen?
And I always get this question. Probably the worst one I've ever seen is an total dislocation of a finger, but it was an open dislocation. So if you've ever eaten chicken wings before, you've seen what a bone looks like. But this was a fresh one that was still alive, and it was just incredibly white. That was probably the most surprising thing. I just don't picture things in your body being pure white, but he went to catch a ball. The defender knocked the ball out of his hands and caught the finger on the way down. And he was very calm. And we, covered it, and we were trying to get his shoes off and stuff. And he just said, Miss Hall. And I said, yeah, what's up, honey? He said, when is this going to start hurting? I said, well, we've got about a 15-minute window right now. You've got adrenaline and endorphins in there, but in about 15 minutes, if your mom doesn't get here quick enough, you're going to start feeling it. And he got in the car with her, and they took off down the road. We could see him for a long ways. And right about that point, they pulled over, and he threw up out the side of the car, and then they just kept going. So that one was probably the most gruesome. Obviously not a super long recovery there. It wasn't anything life-threatening, but that was gross.
Thank you for watching the first episode of Teacher Time. I was your host, Joshua Myers. This was Curran Bradley, my co-host. Thank you, Miss Hall, for being on the show with us. We'll see y'all in the next one.